Excuse me, we ready to rock?
Yeah, it is.
All right, if you have any other questions about your quiz, save it for later. You can talk to other kids, possibly see me during lunch quickly, possibly. I'm not saying that will work, it just might work. Let's go through the do it questions now and make sure we have a good understanding. Yesterday we started a lesson studying about this concept called combining like terms. And the whole idea of combining like terms is just like Papa's buckets. You got to put everything in its place and a place for everything. So if we look at number one, if I was to do number one in terms of buckets, I would say that I need a bucket for my n squareds, I need a bucket for my n's, and I need a bucket for my numbers. Now it's a question of putting each of those things in a bucket. So that would be 2n squareds minus 5n plus an n squared minus a 3n, and then a minus 4. And when I put all of that stuff together, I say to myself, look, I have 2n squareds and another n squared is 3n squared. Negative 5n and negative 3n is negative 8n and negative 4. So that is the correct answer. Okay? Now, I think we all know and understand that we don't want to draw buckets every time we do this. Buckets is a great way to introduce you to the idea, but it doesn't mean it's the best way to do it long term. So over the course of time, you want to be able to pull things out. Have you ever seen the movie A Beautiful Mind?
Of course.
There we go. Do you remember how he would see all of those things and then some of them would light up? No? If you didn't see them, listen, A Beautiful Mind is an Academy Award winning motion picture for the best picture of the year. It stars Russell Crowe and Jennifer Connelly. What's that? It's about a scientist, it's about a mathematician by the name of John Nash, who was a professor at Princeton University. And he is a truly brilliant man. He's come up with Nobel Prize winning equations and functions and so on and so forth. The thing is, he's schizophrenic. And his mind used to see things differently than other people's minds. And what they would do in the movie is they would show numbers, letters written on pages, and his mind would automatically start trying to connect things. So one of them would come out and like get bigger and change color and then go back, and another one would, and another one would. And then all the things that were alike would come out that he thought he could connect and make into a code would all come out, and they'd appear a little bit, they'd appear a little bit bigger and a little distinct from the other characters in the set. So when you look at this, I almost wish I could take the 2n squared, make it get a little bit bigger and change color, and then the 1n squared, make it get a little bigger and change color, and then you should recognize that those things are like terms. And this is called combining like terms, because they're alike. Altogether, I have 3n squareds. Then I would look for n's, and out would pop and get a little bigger than negative 5n, Lily. And then over here, out would pop the negative 3n. So if I have negative 5n's and another negative 3n's, what do I have altogether? Negative 8n. And then the negative 4 is all by itself. There's nothing to combine with it. So over the course of time, you want to change from someone who puts things in buckets to organize them very concretely to someone who sees things and says, oh, let me look for my connections. Let me look on all of it for the n squares. You ever do find a word?
Yeah.
You're never going to find a word? Like, I'm incredible at finding words. I go lightning fast, and I blow the things away in nanoseconds. My wife looks at me like, how could you do that? And all I do is scan for the most difficult letter to find in every word. So let's say that a word has a Q in it. I just scan for a Q. I don't look for the whole word. And as soon as I see a Q, it pops out at me. And then I look around the Q to form the rest of the word. So when you do find a word, look for the most difficult thing to find, and then try to build the word around that difficult thing to find it. Ignore everything that doesn't have anything to do with that particular word. So when you're doing combining like terms, and I look for my n squareds, ignore anything that's not an n squared. I have 2 of them, I have 1 of them, that means I have 3 n squareds. Ignore everything that's not an n. I have negative 5n's and negative 3n's, that's negative 8n's. And the negative 4 can't be combined with anything. Okay? So now we come into this next problem, and we're going to work it backwards here. We've actually been combining like terms in equations for, I don't know, a week or two now. We can actually take the idea of combining like terms, and then we can put it into this equation. You see, here we have like terms. So if they kind of jump off the page at you, and blow up a little bit and change color a little bit so you can see them. What are 5x's and negative 2x's and 8x's?
4x's?
4x's it is. This goes down to 3x's plus another one is 4x. Now the negative 8's all by itself. Now the thing you have to remember is, as soon as you have an equal sign, anything on that side of the equal sign cannot be combined with the other side of the equal sign. You work on its own side for now. This becomes 24 plus 2x. And now that we have combined like terms, at this point we ask, okay, we've done same side is just combining like terms. Now we have to say, are things on opposite sides? Yes, they are. Opposite side? Opposite operation. So I'm going to go minus 2x, minus 2x. That gives me 2x minus 8 equals 24. Adding the 8, 2x is 32. Divide by 2, x is 16. Okay? Any question about that? All right. So the point behind the second question was to show you that the kind of combining like terms you did in the first question, you have actually been doing for a while now. We just haven't formalized it. And between yesterday and today, we want to kind of make a formal understanding of this combining like terms. Any questions so far? All right. And that's really the answer to number 3 about compare and contrast. What do those words compare and contrast mean?
The same and different?
That's right. What is the same about them? We've combined like terms. What's different? Danger, danger, danger. When there's an equal sign in the middle, you can't put the x's on the right with the x's on the left. You got to do the ones on the left only, the ones on the right only, and then go to opposite side, opposite operation. Okay? All right, so let's keep on going now. Some more combining like terms. And what we're going to do this time is, I'm just going to have you, because we did this work yesterday, I'm going to have you do some of this work at your seat right now. Let's have everybody do number 1. And number 2. Starting to run out of animal crackers.
Somebody's taking more than they're supposed to.
Unbelievable. I'll have to buy some more. You guys understand the mistakes you made on your quiz?
Yes.
Or quizzes?
Yeah, batteries.
Hmm?
Just if he has batteries. Yeah, there's stuff.
There you go.
Batteries.
About a second or so? 2 seconds? All right. So the idea is to combine like terms, to get the things that are alike together. And we should be shifting away a little bit from the notion of having to draw buckets to be able to see which ones are alike and to combine them. So here I have 4 ABs and a negative AB and 4 more ABs. How many ABs is that all together? Everybody? 7.
7.
So I get 7 ABs. Now, what is an AB? I don't know. I don't care. It is what it is. It's an AB. I've combined all of these things together. I'm done. Next, I have negative 3 BCs and positive 2 BCs. What is that all together? A negative BC. You could put a 1 in front. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay? Generally speaking, we don't do it. We know that there is supposed to be a 1 in front if we don't write it. Okay? Let's take a look at number 2. Now I have 3x squareds and a negative x squared, so how many x squareds is that altogether?
2x squared.
2x squared, good. And then I have negative 4x's. It's so important that you always peek in front. I have negative 4x's and negative 8x's. How many x's is that altogether?
Negative 12x.
Negative 12x's. And then I have a positive 1 and a negative 3. What is that altogether?
Negative 2.
Negative 2. And there's our answer. 2x squared minus 12x minus 2. Are there any questions about that? Are we good? Are we comfortable?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the only way in which this particular work changes is in the realm of subtraction as an operation. See, what if I'm going to subtract a polynomial? Well, look, I think the best way to learn is to actually do it, but just before we do it, let's think this through. Do you remember how, did I go over if you multiply by a negative, you just negate the number? Multiply by the second number by a negative? All right, watch what we say here. If I do 3 times 4, 3 times negative 4, negative 3 times negative 4. What's 3 times 4?
12.
12. Now, 3 times negative 4 is going to be negative 12. And the reason is this. 3 times 4 is still 12. But not only are you multiplying by 4, you're also negating. When you negate something, you change its sign. So if the 3 started off positive, and then you negate it, the positive becomes a negative. Likewise here, it was a negative 3. When I multiply by 4, so far it's going to come out to be the negative 12. But when I multiply by that negative, I have to change that first sign. That's what negating things does. Negating things changes it. Anybody here ever do something bad in their life? Now, yeah, never. Now, you do something bad, how do you negate doing something bad? Doing something good. You make up for it. You change a negative thing to a positive thing. Likewise, is it possible to do something positive and then turn around and make it what?
Negative?
Negative. To negate means to make it its opposite. So as I look here, number 4 says 3x squared plus 5x minus 2 minus or negate everything in the package. So what we have to learn to do is take a step for a second where we pause and we negate everything in the package. Now, at this point in time, what is that x squared, positive or negative? Positive, so I have to negate it. What is that 7x? Negative, so I have to negate it, which means make it positive. Negate means switch the sign. It doesn't mean make it negative. It means switch the sign. What kind of 9 is that? So I have to make it, and now I do the buckets or combining like terms. 3x squared and a negative x squared is 2x squared. 5x's and 7x's is 12x's. And negative 2 and positive 9 is 7. So what's the difference when you see a negative in front of a package? What's the difference when you see this negative and then these packages here? This means negate everything in the package before you do the problem. So I negate everything and then I do combine like terms. And once I do that, I have my answer. Okay? Any questions? Try number 5. okay, I see a whole lot of people using calculators for this. To be honest with you, you should never need a calculator. You should be able to do sign numbers correctly off the top of your head. If not, then maybe use a calculator on a test, but learn how to do this without a calculator. Because A, the calculator distracts you, and B, it slows you down. And it's not like we're doing anything complicated. All right, so x cubed minus 3x squared minus 4x, that's a square, make sure we know that, plus 5. Now, this negative sign negates everything in here. So what kind of 3x squared is this as of now?
Negative.
As of now, it's positive. So then when I negate it, it becomes
Negative.
negative. Now, what kind of 3x is this?
Negative.
So when I negate it, it becomes positive. What kind of 2?
Positive.
So it becomes negative. So now I look to combine like terms. X to the third minus 3x squared and another minus 3x squared altogether is what? Come on, what's 3 negatives and another 3 negatives? Negative 6x squared. Now, I have negative 4's, negative 4x's, and positive 3x's. What is that altogether?
Negative 1x.
Negative x, good. And then positive 5 and negative 2. Positive 3. Good. So x cubed minus 6x squared minus x plus 3. Notice the approach is methodical and understandable. It's a matter of switching all the signs and then combining the like terms one step at a time, putting it together. Questions? Try number 6. Got a little of that booger buildup going on, huh?
That's not asking.
Okay, so let's change the signs. I have 5ab minus 2bc. Now, this is an ab. When I negate it, what do I get?
Negative.
Negative ab. And this is 5cb's. But, hey, wait a minute now. I wrote you a little note here. What's the difference between a bc and a cb?
There's arranged differently.
But it's the same thing, though, right?
Oh,
Sure. Do you remember the commutative property of multiplication? What does commute mean, English word?
same?
No, switch. And the commutative property says we can switch order. What's 5 times 7? What's 7 times 5?
45.
35. So now, when I see a BC and a CB, it's really the same thing. So I'm going to put it as a BC. It's the same exact thing. They can be combined. So you got to be a little careful of that. 5 ABs minus an AB is 4 AB. Negative 2 BCs and another negative 5 BCs is negative 7 BCs. Okay? So we're going to analyze now. Little core vocabulary word here. When you analyze how to add polynomials and how to subtract polynomials, what's the same, what's different? What are some phrases that mean to add polynomials? There's 2 phrases I can think of. They both have 3 words in them. Minor? What? Combine like terms, or, you said it before, Papa's bucket principle. Good, okay. So when you add them, you get like things together. But what do you always have to do if you're subtracting a polynomial? Polynomial meaning many terms, like for instance 3x squared. Molly? You have to negate everything. You know what kids forget to do all the time? A lot of kids forget to negate the first one. They'll leave this positive 3x squared, then they'll switch the 3x and they'll switch the 2. And I'm like, how could you switch the other 2 and not do the first one? But I see it all the time. Don't fall for that mistake. All right? So in analyzing it or comparing it, there are things that are similar. You combine like terms, etc. But with subtraction, you have to first change every sign in that package. All right, any questions? All right, you guys can start on your homework. All right, folks. Hasta la vista. Vaya con Dios. Toodaloo. Ta-ta. Arrivederci. Smile a lot. Ciao. Dave saying adios, amigos y amigas. Cheerio. Bye-bye. Toodaloo. Ta-ta. Garusharu. Sayonara.